Carl, welcome to Investor Media TV show. Today, an interview with Luerssen shipyard. Can you tell us a bit more?
Sure. Well, today we're going to be speaking to Michael Breman, who is the sales director from Luerssen Yachts. This German yard is one of the world's largest super yacht constructors, and if I tell you that currently 5 of the 10 world's largest super yachts were built by Luerssen, that gives you an idea of what we're dealing with here. But Luerssen is about much more than size, and today Michael will be talking predominantly around their push towards greater sustainability and environmental focus. So I'm really looking forward to hearing about that. Michael, good to see you. Thanks for joining us today.
It's nice to see you, and I'm also very honored to be here.
Now, as you may have just heard us refer to, Luerssen is one of the leaders in large super yacht construction. So tell us, how exactly important is sustainability to you?
Well, you know, we're in the entertainment business, and exploring and enjoying the oceans and the natural wonders of the world is probably for most owners the main motivation to own a yacht, be it large or small. And as we all know, and if we don't know it ourselves, it is impressed on us by our children, we all have a responsibility for the well-being of everything around us, and especially also the oceans. And I think if we wish to continue our business of manufacturing yachts, we will have to make sure that the oceans stay healthy. The yachting industry, due to its nature, has excellent possibilities to develop new technologies, and hopefully technology that can also further lessen our impact and serve as a guiding force to further development in other areas. And this is actually a core part of our internal strategy. We invest considerably through our research and development department in the research of technologies which will help to reduce not only the impact of our yachts on the environment, but also reduce the impact on the environment of our methods of production and the materials used.
That's good to hear, Michael. What can you tell us about some of the work around sustainability that Luerssen has already carried out?
Well, I can give you a couple. When I joined the company in '96, the company was building what actually was probably the first hybrid yacht. We installed an energy-efficient hybrid propulsion system on board of a yacht which came to be known as Limitless. And it consisted of a combined diesel mechanic and electric drive. And this is an application that then was groundbreaking, and it turns out to be so very much that today, because 25 years later, this technology is being heralded as new and innovative by some of our colleagues who only now have started to apply this hybrid technology. So that's one example. Another example is we've installed very, very large windows on a yacht called Rising Sun. And these windows were coated with a special heat insulating foil, which was the result of a very, very long period of research. With the use of this particular material, we actually were able to significantly reduce the energy required for the air conditioning. And another example would be the yacht which we built as air and is now known as ice. And she was one of the first ADZI-pod propelled yachts in the world, actually, at the time. She has a diesel-electric propulsion system with pods, and that, of course, offers many environmental advantages. And because of the number of generators in operation, it has to be in proportion to the electrical demand. The combination of the yacht's house demand for air conditioning, cooking, lighting, etc., and the demands of the ADZI-pod propulsion system, it is often the case that only 3 or 4 generators might be needed when the yacht is running and cruising at speed. In that case, only one of the generators will be operating at below its optimal load percentage, while all the others can be operating at their optimal RPM. This results in a higher fuel efficiency and lower exhaust emissions than are possible in a conventionally equipped diesel-powered yacht with 2 engines and several generators, which might then be running at an inefficient load. She was actually also the first yacht to be fitted with particle filters.
Okay, so we've heard a little bit about how Luerssen has got to this point and the work that you've already done. I guess the best evidence for your eco-credentials will be looking at what you're doing right now. What can you tell us about sustainability on your more recent yacht launches?
Well, it's a good question. As an example, 2 of our latest deliveries, we installed a new, called it exhaust after treatment system. And this system consists of a combination of the silencer and an SCR, selective catalytic reactor, allowing a catalytic reduction within the same casing. And this is a proprietary development in cooperation with 2 other companies that supply some of the hardware. A cleaning rate of well up to 97% of the nitrogen can be achieved, coupled with an additional bonus, namely the reduction of acoustic noise, which is quite important these days. And this is a pure Luerssen research development. Another good example would be a waste heat recovery system. And this is where we take the heated sea cooling water from the engines, and it's passed through an additional heat exchanger, and that heat that is extracted from the sea cooling water through the fresh water is now modified in energy. The cooled seawater is released back into the sea. The heated fresh water is pumped through a closed system, and the ensuing thermal energy can be used, for example, to heat drinking water, pool water, or deck wash water. And the deck wash water warm is better to clean the decks or the spa areas. Another innovation is our peak load shaving system. There we use a special 125 kilowatt lithium-ion battery pack to ensure that the electrical generators always run in an as near as optimal efficient mode, thereby burning less fuel and requiring less maintenance. The excess energy produced is stored and is then used to fuel the system and level the peaks when the system requires more energy at any given moment, and therefore regularly removing the need to start another generator. So all for more efficient operation.
That's fascinating stuff, Michael. What would you like to see? What can we expect to see from Luerssen going forward?
We would like to look at many things, but part of the nature of the company is that we're not boastful about the things that we have achieved or that we're thinking to achieve. And we'd rather let the product speak, and then when we are asked questions, we are happy to answer. And at this moment, we are researching many different directions. We're researching better ways to reduce vibrations and acoustic emissions, even further than the levels we have already arrived at. We find that there's a very, very strong requirement from our clients to have the boats ever more quiet, ever more sophisticated. Another big research project that we're working on is the testing and the development of a hybrid power concept with fuel cells and batteries. And we believe fuel cells can be a very serious alternative power source in the future, putting us in a position to eventually be able to build boats that are emission-free. Instead of hydrogen, though, we are using methanol. And the methanol allows us to solve the storage problem of the hydrogen in a much simpler and safer way, and avoiding the limitations of the storage and the limitations of the range potential if you store liquid hydrogen or gaseous hydrogen. And we are involved in a research project together with other industry partners since 2008, and we will now be running a test plant to validate the concept. So towards the end of April, probably early May, in our shipyard here in Breman, we will be demonstrating the successful integration and the operation of a marine hybrid fuel cell system. And hopefully one day we will be able, after we have run it for about a year and collected the vital data, to try to install it on a yacht to see how it effectively works at sea.
Okay, let's move the conversation away from Luerssen a little. What would you say around the owner's enthusiasm towards sustainable technology, and in particular things like hybrid propulsion?
Well, you know, the owners live in the same world we do, and they have the pressures of their own, be it from their own direct environment or their work, and certainly also from their offspring, who have a slightly different perspective on the world than maybe the ones like myself that are a little bit older. And the requests for fully diesel electric or hybrid ships is increasing all the time. And this opens up the possibility of integrating the fuel cells a little bit more and to take people on this journey to use these future technologies, maybe not today, but at a later stage. And I think for all of us, as with our cars, as with our boiler in the home, The ultimate target is to dispense of the emissions and for us to dispense of the combustion engine altogether. And the hybrid solutions combined, the ones we use today, they combine the advantages of both the systems, electric and mechanic, but without having to go bigger. And you make the use of the efficiencies at different speeds. Someone for sure wants to be the first owner to have a virtually emission-free yacht. We just need to meet him or her.
So how much of this eco decision making is coming from the owners and how much is being driven by Luerssen?
Well, I'd have to say the owners push us as much as we are pushing them. And of course, it helps to find answers when, like us, you have more than 500 engineers in the group whom we can call upon to find solution, no matter what it would be. And I think if the clients would find a suitable partner with us to discuss these things and take them to an intelligent level. So one of the good examples is, we mentioned the building of the boat Ice, or Air as she was called when she was born. One of the fundamental requests of the owner was for Air to have a very, very marginal impact and be very, very, very quiet. And therefore we chose an option to have 4 engine rooms with 2 engines in each room, and these were elastically mounted on elastically mounted rafts, and the boat was fitted with particle filters. And this was quite innovative at the time. The whole purpose was to maximize fuel efficiency and reliability, and furthermore have very, very low emissions, low vibrations, and low sound levels. And I'm happy to say we achieved that.
Yeah, that's interesting stuff. Do you think that owners are becoming more confident in making these decisions around sustainability? Is there enough information out there across the wider industry to help owners make these decisions?
Well, I think you have to look at it from all kinds. We have to inform our clients about the available sustainable technologies. And we have to give them information about the alternatives. And we have to give them this secure feeling that they are making the right decisions. And the owners, of course, they are subjected, as I said before, to the same pressures as we are. And therefore, the client himself probably has a very vast knowledge on his own and has strong ideas on how to achieve sustainability that works for him. And I think we can ultimately only find the right solution on every boat through a proper dialogue between the owner and the yard. And that is what we're always trying to do. We have clients who are involved themselves as investors in projects, in research in the field of sustainability. And it's a happy moment when you can share that enthusiasm. So we're quite certain that energy efficiency will have an impact on the ultimate resale value of the yacht, and that enhances the desire to do it properly.
Okay, let's widen the conversation slightly. Luerssen is a great supporter of the Blue Marine Foundation. What can you tell us about its objectives, and how can the wider industry help with charities like that?
Well, Blue's lofty goal is to have 30% of the world's ocean protected by 2030. They aim to restore the ocean to health by addressing the problem of overfishing, which is one of the world's biggest environmental problems. They are dedicated to create marine reserves and restore the vital habitats, and therefore establish models of sustainable fishing. Peter Luerssen personally has made a substantial endowment of £2 million, effectively allowing Ascension Islands to be able to not have to rely on fishing revenue anymore, and therefore have the opportunity to create an immense marine protected area while still having a viable economy on the island. And we are lobbying very hard with industry leaders in yachting to follow Peter's lead. To do Blue's work, or for Blue to do their work, they need to be supported in the political arena, and they lobby very intensively for the creation of governmentally supported marine protected areas. And of course, all that work needs money. So Luerssen, as a company, funds a large part of the operational cost of Blue, but the yachting industry can support it even more by adding ideas, publicly promoting the goal, and give money, be it big or small. And there's lots of events which we organize within the yachting fraternity. There's the annual London to Monaco cycle ride, which, for instance, has raised, I believe, something like £1.5 or £1.7 million for Blue's ocean conservation work around the world. So we're very, very happy to be associated with them and very, very happy to continue to support them.
I also understand you're working with the Water Revolution Foundation. This is a non-profit organisation working to promote sustainability within yachting itself. What can you tell us about that, and why particularly did Luerssen get involved in this foundation?
Well, it's actually Peter Luerssen himself who sits on the board, and that further enhances the commitment he personally and the family take to, bring to the table in terms of sustainability and concern for the environment. The Water Revolution Foundation is a great platform to promote and foster a new culture of environmental awareness within our industry. We try to undertake joint activities and reduce the environmental pollution from the production process, in addition to individual measures that each company already undertakes. And we take a lot individually by our own initiative, but we also take, of course, the world is filled with regulations that we all have to comply with, but they all lead to the same lofty goal. We are very happy that it is possible to get people that are generally typically very competitive in business to sit together at the table and work together. And many other shipyards have joined the effort. Companies like Amos, Abeking, Benetti, Fedship, who's one of the founding members of the Water Revolution, companies like Hazen, Oceanco, repair facilities like Rybovich, MB92, and even suppliers like AkzoNobel, and we're talking to many more, in this an attempt to try to work together so that we have a very clean house.
That's interesting stuff. Can you tell us anything specific about the projects undertaken by the foundation?
Well, typically what you have to try to do is to look for the opportunities that you can work on very quickly. And we are doing case study assessments together with universities, and we're trying to establish a tool by which you can assess the environmental impact of an entire yacht, or maybe even a part of it, and raise the awareness of what is being done, identify the sources of impact, and see how you can mitigate this impact. And this tool is based on life cycle assessment, and that means that we always take into account the entire life cycle of the ship when assessing it. And that will hopefully ensure real sustainable solutions, and that real sustainable choices need to be considered. The more data you process through the tool, the smarter it becomes, and it offers alternative solutions which will hopefully reduce the impact. The tool is ultimately intended to be a decision support system for the yachting industry, and to make the yachting industry more informed and therefore make smarter choices. Another thing that's being developed is the yacht assessment tool. So simultaneously with this yacht assessment tool, the foundation also runs a joint industry project to develop a yacht environmental transparency index called YETI, the horrible snowman. Where the yacht assessment tool can assess the entire yacht into detail, YETI is able to compare yachts with one another based on their environmental credentials and categorize them subsequently. And this will allow us to visualize the effect of the environmental choices in an index and incentivize environmental friendlier yachts. The impact of the index of a technical choice can then be compared to the cost and space requirements, and will hopefully lead to the installation of the most effective solutions. Another vital tool in driving sustainability in yachting sector is to collect, verify, and promote the sustainable solutions that are readily available today. If all available sustainable choices would be implemented, the environmental impact of a yacht can already be significantly reduced. Awareness and independent confirmation of effect is expected to accelerate the installation of sustainable solutions.
Well, Michael, thanks very much for your time today. Really fascinating stuff. Loved hearing about the work you're doing with owners and these really unique projects that Luerssen is undertaking. I guess the final question has to be, if you could make one sustainable environmental change to the yachting industry, what would it be?
Oh, well, you know, one thing's for sure is that it would be good if more companies would get involved in these organizations like Water Revolution Foundation and Blue Marine Foundation. As the French say, l'union fait la force. Xavier, always good to see you, and thank you for all you do to make yachting expand its horizons and access an audience it doesn't already talk to. Thank you.